Are you considering moving to Norway? Don't. Don't move to Norway. Um, yeah, I'm just going to share a few thoughts with you guys. Hopefully, you will discover this live stream. Um, this is something that I've been thinking about for a while, and I've been saying that when it comes to issues of immigration and yeah, those issues, and the crime that typically comes with a certain kind of immigration, Norway has been largely spared for that. Um, Not so anymore. And I do not see a future for myself in Norway. It's difficult for me to say that, actually. I um, I understand that I have to plan my exit, and there are a few reasons for that. Now, thank you for joining, Margot Tyrdom, my neighbor in Sweden, Henrik, Austin. So yeah, and also thank you from the UK. Hello to you in the UK. Daniel, hello there. So, Wendy, thank you so much. So, first of all, what I will say is the following. Uh, I usually don't do a live stream at this time because I will be uploading a video on my main channel. Um, Quarter past or 12 minutes past, well, hold on, time zones. Well, in 3 hours, about 3 hours. So, yeah. Um, I do that every Saturday. So please go and check that out on my main channel. That's the one that is called Bjorn Andreas Bull-Hansen. It's linked to in the video description. So there might be a slight chance if you do that YouTube will not bury my video again. Okay. So this is on a personal note, as I wrote in the title, I believe. I just had a wake-up call. Actually, two wake-up calls. No, three wake-up calls in a matter of less than 24 hours. I'll start with the first one, okay? And remember, I grew up in the 70s, and I remember a time when people were decent, to some extent decent. And there were things you didn't see, things people just didn't do back then, okay? Yes, there were criminals back then and bastards back then and all of that, but okay. I'm trying to say that I remember a different time, a time when things were different, okay? So, yesterday it appeared that one of the kids, I'm saying kids, he's 17, is bullying. Very rude and harsh, cruel bullying one of the girls. She's just a teenager in the powerlifting club. I have not been training there for a while because of certain issues connected to that. But I did not know about the bullying. Okay. And when confronted, apparently, he became very aggressive. So keep that in mind. So that's one. Two, I was walking towards the door to a utility shop. Can you say that? You can buy almost anything there. and there's a gym nearby. And as I was walking towards the door, a car drove up to me and honked. Um, I believe that's not okay to do when you're walking where you are as a pedestrian supposed to walk. And I don't, you know what, I don't take kindly to things like that. So I walked after the car and I told the guy, well, actually two guys, the typical steroid gym bros, immigrants to Norway. And I told them that's not okay to do. You shouldn't do that. And of course, they got very aggressive towards me. And I'm 53 years old. And I know that if I get into a violent conflict, I I'm also, it would not be good for me. I would be hurt. And I'm also quite, it could be in the news because I'm not like nobody here in Norway as a best-selling author and all of that. But I've felt this for a long time. I've had enough. I've had enough of this degeneracy that I'm seeing all over the place. And you know what? Half an hour later, there was and these assholes, excuse my language, they all drive these big expensive cars. How can they afford that? I have good income. Um, but I would find it irresponsible to drive around in a car like that. So, um, just half an hour later, there was one of these fucking gym bros, these roid idiots in a big car, parked, sitting in the car on a handicap space. Where people with mobility issues, the reserved parking places for people with mobility issues, and it makes me furious. It Yeah, I know they're in debt. They're in debt. I'm trying to say the word right. But this kind of attitude just makes me furious because you know what? It's the total lack of it's this attitude. It's me first, me second, me third, me. And I hate that. I hate people like that. I just can't stand it anymore. And here's the thing. I got back in my car after I had done my shopping, and I I thought to myself, okay, this is just a reality check. This is a reality check. And Bjorn, you have not been honest with yourself. You haven't. And you've even said online that Norway doesn't have the problems with immigration, Norway hasn't got the problems with this and that. And maybe I just didn't want to see it. Maybe I just didn't want to see it. And I think I've been wrong. I've been mistaken. And this summer, it started here in Norway. And they say this is leaking in from Sweden. And to them, you know about this. The mafia, the the drugs mafia in Sweden has leaked into Norway now, and they are establishing themselves, and they have probably already established themselves here, blowing up stuff and leaving hand grenades in the middle of the street and things like that. And we now have a Labour government, a leftist government. They're being pulled to the left by the political parties that they depend on. And they are, how long was it since the election? Well, almost 4 more years. They will be there almost 4 more years. And here's the thing: Norway hasn't got 4 more years. It's done. Norway is dying. It's too late now. So, as long as we have a kind of society where you cannot actually go over to that guy who had parked the car on the handicap space, pull out a knife and cut his head off. You can't do that for good reason. We still pretend that we have a civilized society, so we can't just do that. And that means that you either have to remove yourself from the whole thing, you have to learn to live with it, or you have to be somewhere completely different, in a different place. And it's the third option that I'm realizing that that's how it's going to have to be. Not now, but I'm tired. I'm tired of the taxes. I'm tired of being bled dry with the prices. I'm tired of being lied to by journalists, by politicians. Oh, it's everything is so much better now. Oh, people have more money to spend now. No, they don't. And I don't want to disclose how much money I earn, but I have a very good income. I'm on YouTube. Okay, YouTube doesn't pay money like it used to, but I have books being published in 10 languages. How come that I'm not poor, but it's I'm not rich, you know? And I'm realizing that the system is rigged in such a way that I'm never going to be rich in Norway. I was hoping to get a window to get out. Uh, for that to happen, we would have needed a change of government, so a conservative government, but we didn't get that. And I think maybe we won't get it in the future either, because the demographics have changed. I talked about immigration. That's how they do it. That's how they do it. They change the demographics and they're in position, political power forever. Norway is now a fucking battery for Europe. That it wouldn't have been any different with the conservatives, of course. But with the conservatives, they would probably have deleted the exit tax. Exit tax. You're taxed for leaving Norway. If you're a business owner, you're taxed for leaving Norway. And it's not like 2%. It's how much is it? It's almost 40%. 40% of your total value they take when you leave. Fucking bastards. But it's going to have to happen at one point in the future. If you want to know, I was quite poor most of my life. It's funny. It's in Norway. It's okay to say that you're poor, but you can't say that you're rich. Okay, so but most of my life as a novelist, I was quite poor, which means that I only qualify, and I will ever only qualify for the lowest rate of pension that I will receive, maybe, when I'm 67. I can't work like this until I'm 67. I'll be dead long before I'm 67 if I work like this. Can you imagine how much energy it takes to write a historical novel? So one way or the other, I have to find a way to get out of this crap, this situation here. Yeah, I know about BlackRock, thank you, but I know these politicians, they're all bought. They're bought by these big. We know this isn't. Yeah, but thank you for saying it. But it's obvious. It's obvious, but it's not obvious to most people. You know. So okay. I've traveled quite a bit, and I'll tell you my experience with the countries that never been to Africa. I think many places in Africa is very nice actually, but I've never been in Africa, so I can't tell. I've never been in Japan. I think that's a wonderful place with wonderful people. That's what I've heard. But okay, the three countries I've been to where people were genuinely nice and it felt like I could trust people is India, Thailand, and Russia, and to some extent Romania, but um, except the trust part. But I was not there very long, and it was so warm, so I couldn't stay outside for long. Um, so I stayed in my hotel room most of the time. India many years ago, and Russia also many years ago, and I would not want to live in Russia with the regime there now. But Thailand was wonderful, wonderful people. The only downside was that I went there as a single traveler, and as a man, you get approached by these prostitutes, and it's kind of sad. It really is when you understand that they come from poor families and all of that. But it's a totally different culture. At least it was back then when I was there. Now the worst countries I've been to when it comes to behavior, I would say the UK, number one. That's been the worst place I've been to when it comes to behavior, both England and Scotland. And it's changed dramatically during the last few years, and I've been there on a almost regular basis. It's horrible now. It's really horrible. People, and it's never most people, but it's just that so many out of that minority that can't behave are there, and so the UK number one. I would say I've been to New York and I've been to Los Angeles. It's not representative of the USA, but both those places were fucking shitholes. Excuse my language, but that's my honest opinion. I hated New York. I hate New York with a passion. And Los Angeles, I don't hate Los Angeles. I pity the people who live there. Paris, I've been to Paris many years ago. It was already destroyed by then. It was just destroyed. I hated Paris. Italy, no, no, no. Germany, no, no, no. Sweden, oh, well, if you're in the countryside, it's nice, of course. It's practically like Norway. I like that. It's wonderful. But the cities in Sweden, no. It's like Oslo. So what I've been to Poland as well, but I only stayed at Wulin, which is a tiny place. But the world is not how it was in 1990 or 1985, you know? And I think we have to face the realities. When it comes to Europe, it's Eastern Europe. Eastern Europe is the future. Western Europe is just gone. Sorry, but it's too late. It is the immigration that has contributed largely to that, but also the culture itself. I've been to Lithuania, I've been to Estonia, wonderful places, and people were decent. That's my experience. They were decent. I felt like I was out and, at nighttime there. I did not feel like there was a violent atmosphere. In Oslo, there is. In Oslo, the atmosphere is violent. In Stockholm, the atmosphere is violent. Yeah, Australia, by the way. I was in Australia. That was nice. Actually, that was nice. So I honestly don't know, but um, it's either just trying to isolate myself as much as possible from society, or moving to a country where society is still decent. I've been to Finland too. Uh, I was not in any city. Um, so this is the issue. I'm very tired, and a large, it's stress basically. It's just stress that it's the stress that gets to you after a while. And I keep telling myself that I live in a nice place, and it's nicer. It's very, very pretty. Um, but also, they fired a shot, a gunshot towards me to scare me a couple of years ago, because I was disturbing their hunt going on like a couple of 100 yards from my house, because they're fucking lazy and they can't walk more than 100 yards from their cars, you know? So what worries me is that you build up this aggression, and I'm sure you've seen the movie. What's it called? Falling Down with Michael Douglas. Suddenly you snap, you know, and there is nothing more dangerous than a man who's been trying to be decent his whole life. Suddenly he snaps. That's the most dangerous thing ever. And I'm telling myself that must never happen. I can't let that happen. So I talk about things that frustrates me. I've done that in the past here on this channel. I will mention a few things that are dwarf no are seem very insignificant compared to this general feeling of people behaving in an indecent, not like people walking around naked. Well, not that way, but people lacking common decency and being aggressive, because I hate that. I really hate it. I've been in a few violent encounters in my life, and I always hated it. I hate violence, truly hate it. So that feeling of aggressiveness, You tell two gym bros on steroids that it's not okay to honk on someone just walking into a grocery store. It's not okay to do that, you know? And then they get all aggressive. That kind of attitude, that's what I'm talking about. And there are things that are nothing, nothing compared to that. Uh, I've talked about, the Bible Belt in the USA, and I've said I wouldn't want to live there, and I stand by that. But that problem with people thinking that the Earth is 5,000 years old and stuff like that, it's nothing compared to this problem we have here. Nothing. Um, and Yeah, all these other things that frustrates us, it's generally nothing compared to the problem you have when when the society you live in become aggressive and indecent. Imagine sitting there full of steroids in a car that you borrowed money for, like 1 million kroner, and you're sitting there parked on the space reserved for people with mobility issues. Imagine being that person. It's like I feel like myself and that person, we're not even the same species. So sorry if I sound very frustrated. I will add to this that I just came before I went to the grocery store and all of that. I came back from an overnighter in the woods, and the contrast is huge, huge. Austin says Vikings rise up. Yeah, what? Yeah, thank you for saying that. Thank you. But what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? They'll put us in jail. Yeah, Laura, we're talking about the decay of the Western world. That is what we are talking about. And what I think is that it's a minority among the immigrants from other cultures that propel this development, if I can use such an expression. By that I mean that it is a minority. Most people that are immigrants and come here, they are decent people. But you change the culture if the portion of people from a certain country, I won't mention any country, so from a certain country, if a larger portion of those people will be aggressive and do criminal stuff, you change the culture in in this instance, Norway. And so you will end up with not only those immigrants, but also Norwegian young people acting like that because that's the culture they grew up in. And at this point, it's almost like I've gotten used to the fact that if you're if you have an immigrant background, you'll get all sorts of attention. If you write a book, you are a musician, you get all the attention. While someone like me, ethnically Norwegian, Norse even, 53 years old, there is no journalist out there in Norway that bothers writing about me. Now, why am I saying, why should they write about me? Well, maybe they shouldn't, but I just published a novel that went straight in on the top 10 bestseller list here in Norway. So maybe that's something that could be interesting to people. But no, we can't write about that. No, we can't. Because that guy, he's a straight white male, and we know that the straight white male is the worst creature under the sun. They are evil. So instead, we prop up these fucking losers with no talent just because of their demographic group, just because they belong to a certain demographic group. So I don't know. Yeah, Estonia was nice. Estonia was nice. Yeah. And the women there did not look like tractors, by the way. So that's a bonus as well. If I can add that. Um, yeah. So mm, I honestly don't know, but well, yes, honestly, I do know. I know that there is no future in Norway for me. Or, well, there is a future, and I can predict what that future will be. I will have to work myself into ill health, um, and I might receive a pension at the age of 67, but I don't think I will reach that age. So, yeah, my future in Norway is basically being bled dry so that I can use my income, the part of it that goes to taxes, which is a very large part, and they can finance, yeah, you know what. You know what I'm talking about here. I don't know about America, honestly. I think Americans are too aggressive, too noisy. Um, and as I said, if you want to believe that the Earth is 5,000 years old, I at this point I don't even care. So, but no, in America, too much drugs and guns and aggressive people. Uh, I I don't want that. So yeah, yeah. I say women look like tractors. I honestly, it's a bit of a joke, but they're getting very large here. Yeah. And I've in my mind, I've kind of wondered, are they getting large so that they can make room for more tattoos? Is that why they are getting so large? I don't know. I don't know. Myself, I don't want to be fat, that's just me, maybe. So, um, yeah. Um, there is this joke about men going to older middle-aged men and so on they live in Thailand, they move to Thailand, live in Thailand. But you know what, I'm not sure there are lots of these, let's just say it call it what it is, sex tourists or sex, they live there because of that. But honestly, I'm starting to realize that maybe some of those guys, they moved to Thailand because they've had it with the attitude in their home country. People being rude, you know. So, you know, and I'm not saying this just to prop myself up, but I'm the sort of person, I am the sort of person who will fetch, if there's a trolley that someone left out at the parking, in the parking lot, I will take that trolley and bring it inside the grocery store. You know, it doesn't cost me anything to do that, so I do that. Um, and I want to live in a place where other people are like that too. Wendy's asking, it's the poor quality of food making people fat. It's just that they eat too much, I think. Isn't the outskirts an alternative, like really rural? Yeah, that is an alternative, absolutely. But that's an alternative now because it's a problem to move out, and I don't want to bring the dogs too far away. I don't want to bring them on board an airplane and so on. And my kids still need me, so yeah, I don't know. The USA, I've actually, here's what I think. I find the USA a safe. I do consider the USA to be a safe place. Now, why am I saying that? Why am I saying that? Because you won't hear other people saying that so much. But that's because most people are idiots. Excuse me, but that's the truth. So the USA is a safe place because it's practically a continent. It stretches from one ocean to the other, and it has a huge, um, I'm saying army, but a with all the planes and bombs and everything. Nobody picks a fight with the USA. Meanwhile, I'm living here in Norway, being run by politicians who think it's wise to pick a fight with Russia. We have a border to Russia, and we sell weapons through a uh, a detour to Ukraine. And we have politicians here fantasizing about how we will resist when Russia comes to tries to invade Norway. And I'm like, we will not be able to resist at all. So, yeah, when the Russian drones fly into the Norwegian cities, then what do you do? So yeah, that's why I think the USA is a safe place. I don't know. Maybe Canada is different. Are people? I don't know. I don't. I haven't been in other places than New York and Los Angeles, and those were shitholes. But um, yeah. So I don't know, but my experience with what I've seen on the TV and in social media is Americans being aggressive, not being kind at all, and I don't like that. And it's not because I'm afraid, but it's because it stresses me out, honestly. Yeah, I think Finland is first. I think Finland and Norway both at the same time. So So that's the situation, my friends. Norway is going down the drain, and I'm never ever going to say again that um, immigration is not the problem in Norway. I'm never going to say it's not been as bad in Sweden, but we could just the correct way to put it is that it just took a little longer. Fucking hell, I'm 53 years old. I work a lot. I struggle with a migraine. I have a limp. I could hardly stand up when I got out to the lavabo, and then I'm being honked at by two immigrant riders because I wasn't walking fast enough for them. And I'll be honest with you, if they were on fire, I wouldn't even piss on them. I hope that was a clear message. So, yeah, you're saying most Americans are kind and friendly. I want to think that. I want to think that this typical American small town American small town is filled with nice people, and there is a diner with some woman there who is called Debbie, and I've seen too many of these old movies, I guess, but that's I hope that's how it is, but I don't know. I don't know. Um, yeah. So don't move to Norway. It's nice to come visiting and see Norway, but don't move to Norway. Yeah, yeah. No, I certainly won't move to New York. Yeah. Um, no, but honestly, I think it's too late for Norway. It's too late for Sweden. Finland, I don't know. Denmark, it's too late. Eastern Europe is different. Uh, I've been to Poland. I've been driving through Hungary. I've been driven through a portion of Hungary, so I didn't really get to see any of Hungary. I've been to Romania. Been to Ukraine many, many years ago. Been to Russia, Estonia, Lithuania. Hmm. You can find bastards everywhere, of course. But when you see that the culture is changing, that's when you need to get out. Soil play. You're saying, I know several Norwegian immigrants. They go back to visit, but would not live there again. Which country are you talking about? Immigrants to which country? Is that the USA? Yeah. Hela Quism, you are Norwegian, right? Soil play, United States, Minnesota. Yeah. Mm. Oh, you're Finnish. Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. Mm. And I think that if you look at the UK, you can tell, you can kind of see the future there for most European countries. And I know some people don't want me to talk about climate change, but I do believe that the climate is changing, which is going to be one of, not the main factor, but one of the factors that drives people up towards the north from Africa, from the Middle East, and also from places like Afghanistan, and that's just going to increase. The immigration into Europe is going to increase, and it will not stop. Sadly, it will not stop until you close the borders. And if when people come, you do not let them cross the border. And I think people are realizing that now. But we have politicians who will not be closing the borders. It will not happen. So that's why I know for a fact that the future is the UK. If you want to know how Denmark looks in the future, go to the UK and have a look around. So, yeah. Um, yeah, it's Roman history all over again. Hmm. Daniel is saying, these problems you're talking about, I have to face in my daily life in Iran. Yeah. Um, I will say one thing, that I will never live in a Muslim country for many reasons, but there is something about people who come from a Muslim culture that I do not like. Other people might find it okay, but I do not. It has to do with the disrespect of other people, especially women. So I am done trying to hide what I feel about that. And why would I care? I know you get disqualified from getting any attention by the press if you, as an author, say that, but I don't get that attention anyway, so why the hell would I care? Not saying that, and if people cut up this live stream, which they sometimes do, the following part is the part that they will not leave in, they will cut it out. Of course, there are many people from Muslim countries that are wonderful people, but I'm talking about the minority of people that will be behaving in a certain way. And let's say you have, I'm just taking a number now off the top of my head. If you have 20% of 100,000 people from a certain culture moving into your country, you have 20,000 people behaving like assholes, right? 20,000 people. out of those 100,000, and we all know it's not 100,000. It's a lot more than that. So yeah, yeah. The idea that we're not having enough babies, so we have to have immigration. That's one of those cases where politicians create a problem. They try to come up with a solution to a problem they created, but it's not a solution. And if you look at the statistics, it's not a solution. So yeah, I don't believe in the idea of a middle class and a. I don't believe in the idea of a middle class. I think that's a lie. At least now, we don't have. We're all working class. We're all working class. Um, yeah. But anyway, what do you think I should do? This is. I mean, this is something that I'm not the only one thinking about this. I can't be. It's like in a micro. You heard the expression of microcosmos. Microcosmos. So my powerlifting club, come to the USA. Yeah. Um, the powerlifting club is a microcosmos. So basically, you have one person there behaving like an asshole. What happens? People start leaving. I left. Now other people have left, and then even more people have left. On Monday, so the day after tomorrow, I will be driving to another powerlifting club with two of the lifters. We go there together and to have a workout together in another powerlifting club. So that's what people do. They leave. You know, endless gyms in America. Yeah, yeah. I've heard the gyms are really good in America. You know, yeah. Uh, are you Sweet Polly? Are you talking? That's a nice nickname, Sweet Polly. Are you talking about the digital ID? It's coming. They are not talking about it right now, but Norwegians are so docile and lazy that if you tell a common Norwegian that if you don't get the digital ID, um, you won't get a muffin for dessert after your dinner tomorrow. He'll get the digital ID, you know. um, yeah, Tyrdom, I know. I don't want to leave Norway, but you know uh, what you do. What Norwegians are not. Listen, Norwegians are not going to rise up in rebellion. That's not going to happen. So am I supposed to fight the fight on my own? No. I've said before that if, I mentioned Russia, if Russia invaded Norway, I would not want to sacrifice anything to defend Norway. Nothing. Because, you're not defending Norway. If you're defending a certain political class, you're defending certain financial interests, and you die for that. And that's a stupid way to die. Yeah. No, it's really simple. At the end of the day, it is really simple because I have to leave at some point. I have to leave. The financial system here is reason enough to leave. Do it now, can't do it while the exit tax is still in place. Well, eventually, if they just keep the exit tax, which they might do, then I just have to give away all that money then, and to get out. You know. Yeah. The last few years, I've paid around 1 million Norwegian kroner in taxes alone. Imagine that. That's about 100,000 US dollars every year. Every fucking year. Imagine that. Isn't that funny? Yeah. Where the hell goes that money? Into the big pile of money that is spent on people who do not want to work, immigration, wealthy politicians so that they can get a little bit fatter, weapons to Ukraine. The list is very long. So, yeah. Yeah. To them, yeah. Yeah. You pay millions every year as well. Yeah. The funny thing is that I really want an assistant, someone qualified to help me on a daily basis. That would have been nice. But I can't hire an assistant because I don't make enough money. If the taxes had not been so devastating, I would have been able to hire an assistant. So that is the situations for many small businesses, I believe. And then you have to realize that this system is not, it's not like it is for us. Because if it was, it would have facilitated small businesses, creating jobs. But no. Yeah, to the socialists do not understand that lower taxes equals more jobs. That's correct. Margot, that will not fly in Norway. Sorry. Yeah. Mm. So there are things that I gladly pay taxes for. Free education, treatment, medical treatment to those people who need it. And there are, I believe, no expenses should be spared when it comes to helping people who are sick. Um, uh, there's a long list of useful things that those money should be spent on. But what I'm seeing is that we hear about people who have cancer and they are not treated the way they should because apparently we can't afford it. Norway can't afford it. Yeah. Okay, so the exit tax is quite a recent tax that the socialists in Norway introduced. And it's a really evil thing that they did there. If you own a company, you have to pay, I think it's almost 40% of the value of the company if you move out of Norway with your company. And they said it straight out in with their naive childlike wording. They said, now we're going to get the rich. We're going to get them. That's what they said. Those words in Norwegian. Nå skal vi ta de rike. Yeah. So as you can see, it's not so easy to get out of Norway. So yeah, I have yeah for some reason my right leg grew shorter than my left leg when I grew up. And that's apparently fine in the sense that I don't get any money for the inlay soles that I use. Um, it's not enough. So apparently, yeah. Hmm. No, so this is the issue, and again, I keep repeating myself, yeah, I have to come to the conclusion. I have come to the conclusion that Norway is dying, and the Norway that I knew, it's not here anymore. It's gone. The nature is here, of course, um, but the culture is gone. And for years now, I have avoided driving through that area where I grew up because it's all the trees are gone. It's all concrete and asphalt and tall buildings now with people driving around in their fucking Teslas. So I don't want to see it. I do not want to see it. Yeah, the culture wars. Well, you know what? It's like another thing that I don't. It's just a tiny little thing. If people are marching in the street like like men dressed like women and pride flags and so on, I don't care. I don't care. Let them do that. Let them do that. That's not the issue here. That's it doesn't bother me. It's this feeling of aggressiveness that everyone's not everyone, but there are so many of these losers. That's what they are. When they are dead, they will be forgotten. So that's a comforting thought, of course. But um, if you do good if you do good to other people, if you help other people, if you create something while you're alive, you will be remembered. You know. Yeah, to them, I have consulted a tax firm, and the first thing they said was, "Can you move out of Norway?" But that was before the exit tax, you see. So, yeah. Hmm. Yeah. No, I don't need to make more money. Actually, I don't. The problem is that it's going to be. It's like they are poking more and more holes in my bucket of money, right? That's what they're doing. Yeah. I've been thinking about Iceland. Um, I think Iceland is good. It's very dark during the winter, but I heard it's a nice place. Yeah. Not so many trees though. I like trees. Uh, Welcome to Tanzania. Yeah, as I said, I think Africa is the future, and I've never been to Africa, but yeah. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, we are used to the dark. We are, but yeah. No, I think this is just a matter of concluding with realizing that Norway is gone. The Norway that I knew is dead. It's never coming back. Culture has changed. Immigration is partly to blame for that, and this is just how it is now here. So yeah, Iceland government is very left wing. I don't care even. I honestly don't care. I think, well, the taxes is one thing, of course. I do care about that. But right wing, left wing, I don't care as long as the culture is not. Yeah, I've said it many times now. Yeah. Well, if I could choose, I would choose to live under a not left wing uh, government. But that's not the most important thing. New York, KP Hidden, yeah. Yeah, they're celebrating in New York, aren't they? And in Norway, it's been like framed like Trump is such a bad man because he doesn't like the Muslim socialist mayor in New York, the new mayor. Yeah, there is no point in talking about it even because you can just wait a little bit. Just wait a little bit because when those policies, I looked into it, when he implements those policies, I'm telling you, what's going to happen is, first of all, the big investors will leave New York. They will not be investing in property development. You could even see that they will not be, um, what's the word? They will not be, not repairing. They will not be, sorry. The people who own properties like rental buildings and so on, they won't keep the standard up. Um, they will not be putting money into painting the buildings and so on, because it will not be. They won't be able to take the rents will be regulated, right? So when the rents are regulated, and this I know because used to be like that in Oslo, and Oslo looked like shit because the buildings were not painted and they did nothing because it didn't pay, you know. So that's what's going to happen in New York. Just wait and see. Um, I don't know. New York is a hellhole when it comes to drugs, but that's just going to quadruple, of course. Yeah, Daniel, they are going to learn things the hard way. So yeah, it's that's not rocket science, you know. Yeah. Um, okay. Let's see if I can find URL here for you. I'll try to find it. I'll explain soon. Okay. Yeah, that's a video. It's not up yet. It's not up yet. It will be up in little more than 2 hours. And it's on my main channel, the Viking one. And if you can do me a favor, go and have a look. It will be up 12 minutes past 7 Norwegian time. So that's in 2 hours and 15, 16, 17 minutes, something like that. Yeah. Okay. That's all for now. We will talk again. We will talk again. Okay. Stay strong.